The Cunningham Theological Foundation was part of St. Andrew's Wesleyan United Church, Vancouver, when I worked there. Each year, for about a week, a visiting lecturer or minister, professor would come and share with us. One year when I was there, it was Eugene Lowry, a preacher and a teacher, and oh, what a pianist. Professor Dr. Reverend Lowry was at St. Paul in that time as I believe, the dean of preaching or homiletics. He played jazz piano. He actually played every kind of piano you could imagine. But as he did it as part of his preaching. He was, in fact, the full meal deal. So I was thinking about this wonderful story of the Canaanite woman, and suddenly his style of preaching and interacting with the story, letting the story interact with us, came to mind. Because there are two big possible interpretations. Well, there's probably 100, but there's two main interpretations of the story of the Canaanite woman that are here for us today. And I kind of wished he was here to play his beautiful stride piano with me, but maybe you can imagine the piano music with it. The first interpretation is the one that Mary hinted at, that Jesus, in the challenge by this mom whose daughter was sick, responds by reminding her that she is not one of his people. And so we already know that because he's in the area of Tyre and Sidon, and it says in the scriptures she's local, she's Canaanite. And he says, I'm here to look after the lost ones of the people Israel, my people. You are not one of my people. And so in the challenge, and this is the only verbal contest Jesus doesn't win in the entire Gospel of Matthew, she's able to use that image of dogs to make Jesus see her desirability and to answer her request. And so, as has been suggested by so many people, this is an example of Jesus being able to pivot and change and learn that he perhaps was coming with the blinders or the conventional wisdom of his people. And her insistence, her rudeness, her refusal to hear the word no, helped him change. That's one of the interpretations. So whatever kind of music you want to go with that, Jesus is the Lord of our ability to change. That's one of the stories. But what if this? What if, when Jesus heard that she was coming and heard the disciples try to get rid of her, what if inside him he went, yes, finally, I have been waiting for this moment because I want to teach these people something about inclusive and exclusive, and here's the moment for which I've been waiting. What if that was what was going on that morning? So what if, when he heard her voice, he thought, yes, this is the example I'm going to use. And so he sets it up as he's been planning. It's possible, isn't it? That he had been waiting for this opportunity so he could say something stereotypical and exclusive. You're not my people. I don't care about your kids. And get challenged so he could turn as if it were to the crowd and say, well, that's what we believe, isn't it? That's what we're always teaching, isn't it? That her daughter is less than our dog. Isn't that what we believe? And so in that moment where Jesus has been waiting, different music's playing now, Jesus says, oh, I can be convinced by her because that was the moment he'd been waiting for. I mean, it's possible, isn't it? A very different interpretation of that story. I love the open-endedness in Matthew here. There's no way we can say, well, here's the definitive answer, because there's other interpretations still. But these are the two big ones. And they're both very engaging. And they both, unlikely for Matthew, show the strength of that woman to be part of the theological debate. As Mary eloquently put it, she had her kids back. That was her juice. That was why she was doing it. But she stands in an ancient lineage. Think of the people who wrestled with God in the Hebrew Bible. Think of Jacob wrestling with the angel overnight, so that she's not the first time someone's appeared in the scriptures who's wrestling for a blessing. She's in fact in a long line of people wrestling for a blessing. They are our teachers as they show us that the circle is wider than we imagined it. I don't think we have to choose this one or that one. I believe that we're invited then to let this be a mirror to our own lives. Where are we held back still by conventional wisdom that needs to be challenged by someone who's in our face, saying things we don't want to hear? Where is it that we need to wait for the opportunity to let someone partner with us to embody change? I don't believe it's one or the other. I believe it's both and. And this story St. Matthew gives us of the ministry of Christ is one that we can mine for a long time in our reflection period. This is the end of August. The days are still fairly lengthy. The sun is beautiful in the afternoon. I would invite you to take an iced tea somewhere private and think about the times you've changed in your life. Who's helped you change? Have you changed because someone step by step convinced you? Or did somebody say, hey, come on, you got it wrong? I think we change in many ways. Here, St. Matthew gives us an example of how that God's living and active spirit helps us change and respond in helpful ways to the people around us who may or may not be in the history of the Canaanite woman, but they might well be. That's the open-endedness of this. A wonderful story gives us pause, the late summer reading, to think about how we can change to make our circle wider, to ask ourselves, who have we excluded? Who needs to be brought in? Amen.